Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Parliament. We just today a very important discussion on strategic communications in a fledgling democracy such as Georgia. The timing for such discussion is really crucial. With transition to the true parliamentary democracy, Georgia needs a new perspective on how to engage citizens in debates about the future of the nation, and also how to communicate its aims, values, and aspirations to both friends and foes abroad. Therefore, I would like to thank the Committee on Foreign Relations of the Parliament and our partners, embassies of the United States and of the United Kingdom, for capturing the zeitgeist and bringing us all together to share our views for advancing our common cause. Working out an effective system for strategic communication is a hard task even for established countries, especially democracies where information, knowledge, and opinions are exchanged freely and formed in an open debate. For Georgia, the challenge is twofold. We are working on Stratcom while simultaneously conducting fundamental reforms and resisting foreign pressures against our sovereignty and territorial integrity. There is plenty of room for improvement for Georgia's strategic communication system. Let me underline how much we appreciate and rely on the contribution of our strategic partners, the United States and the European Union. And yet we have to do our best to make the system work without compromising our national interests or domestic values. These efforts are essential for the success of Georgia's prospects of European integration, namely for the fulfillment of our obligations under the association agreement with the European Union. In the last few years, Georgia made significant strides toward genuine democratization, from protecting private property to establishing the rule of law in the penitentiary system. The reforms have been truly impressive and internationally recognized. Adoption of the new version of the Constitution this year inaugurated the full transition from an uncertain post-Soviet reality to a much more solid democratic legal system. The new Constitution establishes a much more balanced and stable relationship between the branches of power and eradicates prospects for the return of authoritarianism. And yet, we are facing the reality that success in democratization and better governance in itself is not sufficient for communicating effectively with domestic and international audiences about the challenges facing our nation and the efforts for overcoming them. In a sense, for a few years, the current Georgian government has faced a paradoxical situation in full contrast with the previous administration. While the previous government made every effort to urge the population and the international community about its democratic credentials, the real situation was much worse and deteriorating. It is not surprising that they lost every election since 2012. In contrast, the Georgian Dream government, despite massive reforms, has been struggling to explicate and communicate every success toward democratization, state building, and integration in the European Union and NATO. We also realize that strategic communication on these matters is not just important to our government, it is essential for the survival and independence of our country. Both our population and our friends and foes abroad should be aware and certain how firm Georgia's commitment is to independence, territorial integrity, pro-Western foreign policy, peace, democracy, the rule of law, and market economy. These 7 pillars define Georgia's future, and they should be the very essence of our dialogue domestically and internationally. We have to make sure that our efforts continue in a sustained and effective way, and their purpose and meaning reach the intended audience. Looking ahead, our government has many important yet painful reforms to accomplish. We conduct these reforms in conditions of hostile, adversarial, anti-Western propaganda. Therefore, we need a strategic approach in dealing with these challenges while communicating our plans and countering false claims. The Parliament is becoming the centerpiece of Georgian political life, including the overall coordination of future policy formulation. We are willing to take an active part in furthering efforts on strategic communication and working closely with our international partners. I believe today's conference is yet another solid step in the right direction. Once again, thanks for joining us, and I wish you every success today. Thanks a lot.